I'm going to tell you about the stupidest mistake I made for 7 years of pigeon racing. A mistake so simple, so obvious, that when I finally figured it out, I felt like an idiot. This mistake was costing me races. It was making my birds slower. It was creating health problems I didn't understand. And the craziest part, the fix cost me exactly $0 and took 15 minutes. I moved my water bowls from high perches down to the floor. That's it. That one change made my birds fly 18 minutes faster on average over 300-kilometer races. 18 minutes. Do you know what 18 minutes means in pigeon racing? That's the difference between first place and 50th place. That's the difference between winning $3,000 and winning nothing. And I lost races for 7 years because my water bowls were in the wrong place. Today I'm going to tell you exactly how I discovered this, why it works, the science behind it, and how you can test it yourself. Because if you have your water bowls up high like I did, you're making the same mistake, and it's costing you races right now. Let me start at the beginning so you understand how I discovered this. 7 years ago, when I first started racing pigeons seriously, I set up my loft the way most people do. I looked at photos of other lofts. I read articles about loft design. I copied what successful fanciers were doing, and every single loft I saw had water bowls mounted up high, usually on the walls at perch height or on elevated platforms. The reasoning made sense to me at the time. Keep water up high so birds can't walk through it. Keep it away from floor droppings. Keep it clean. Elevated water bowls seemed like the right way to do it. So that's what I did. I mounted my water bowls on the wall at about chest height when I'm standing, about 4 feet off the ground. The birds would fly or hop up to the bowls, drink, and fly back down. Seemed perfectly normal. That's how I had my water set up for 7 years. And during those 7 years, I had mediocre racing results. I'd place in prizes maybe 30 to 40% of races, occasional top 10 placement, but I never dominated. I never consistently won. I'd train my birds properly, feed them, quality feed, keep the loft clean, but results were just okay. Not terrible, but not great. Then 2 years ago, I visited my uncle who lives in a rural area. He keeps pigeons, but not for racing. Just as a hobby, he has maybe 20 birds that he keeps in a simple backyard coop. I went to see his setup just out of curiosity. When I walked into his coop, I immediately noticed everything was wrong, according to what I'd learned about loft design. His perches were uneven. His nest boxes were mismatched. The ventilation was basically just some holes in the walls. But the thing that caught my attention was his water setup. He had a large, shallow pan on the floor, just a basic plastic tray about 3 inches deep, filled with water. His birds were drinking from it, standing on the floor, bending down, drinking from the ground-level pan. I looked at this and thought, that's terrible design. The water is on the floor. Birds are going to walk through it. It's going to get contaminated with droppings. It's going to get dirty. I told my uncle, you should mount your water bowls up higher. Keep them elevated so they stay clean. My uncle looked at me and said, why would I do that? This way works fine. The birds drink plenty. The water stays fresh because I change it twice a day. Never had any problems. I said, but birds can walk through the water and contaminate it. He said, so what? I change it anyway. And besides, this is how birds drink in nature. They drink from puddles on the ground. They drink from streams. They drink from low water sources. Why would I make them drink from up high? That's not natural. I didn't have a good answer for that. I just said, well, everyone else mounts water up high, so it must be better. My uncle shrugged and said, maybe everyone else is wrong. That comment stuck with me. What if everyone is copying each other and nobody actually tested whether elevated water is better than ground level water? What if elevated water is actually worse, but we all do it? Because that's what we've always done. I started thinking about this. In nature, where do pigeons drink? My uncle was right. They drink from puddles, from streams, from bird baths, from rainwater collected in low spots. I've never seen a wild pigeon drink from an elevated source. They always drink from ground level or low water sources. So why do we mount water bowls high in racing lofts? Is there actually a benefit, or are we just doing it because that's the tradition? I looked for scientific studies about pigeon drinking behavior. I found some interesting information. Pigeons, like most birds, drink by dipping their beak in water and then tilting their head back to let gravity pull the water down their throat. But pigeons are special. They're one of the few bird species that can actually suck water up like drinking through a straw. They don't need to tilt their head back. They can keep their beaks submerged and continuously drink. This is unusual. Most birds have to dip and tilt, dip and tilt. Pigeons can just... This adaptation evolved because pigeons often drink from deep sources, where they can fully submerge their beak. But here's what I found interesting. Even though pigeons can drink with their beak at any angle, they strongly prefer to drink with their head down. Natural drinking position for a pigeon is standing on the ground with head lowered to water source. This position allows several things. It allows them to drink while watching for predators. They can keep their eyes up scanning for danger while their beak is in water. It allows them to drink in a relaxed, comfortable posture. No stretching, no awkward angles, just natural head-down drinking position. When pigeons drink from elevated bowls, they have to adopt an unnatural posture. They either have to stretch their neck up to reach the water, or they have to perch next to the bowl and crane their necks sideways. Neither position is natural or comfortable. I started wondering if this unnatural drinking position could be affecting my birds, not just their comfort but their actual health and performance. I decided to run an experiment. I would take half my birds and switch them to ground-level water. The other half would continue with elevated water bowls. I would track everything: how much they drank, how their droppings looked, their weight, their training performance, and eventually their race results. I wanted data. I wanted to know definitively whether water bowl height mattered. I set up the experiment carefully. I had 20 birds total in my loft at the time. I divided them into 2 groups of 10 birds each. The groups were matched as closely as possible. Similar ages, similar racing experience, similar baseline performance. Group A would get ground-level water. Group B would keep elevated water bowls. Everything else would remain identical. Same feeding, same training, same loft conditions. The only variable would be water bowl height. For Group A, it placed large, shallow pans on the floor in their section of the loft. The pans were about 3 inches deep, filled with fresh water. I changed the water twice per day to keep it clean. For Group B, I kept the water bowls mounted on the wall at the usual height. Also changed twice per day, same water source, same freshness. Only difference was height. I started the experiment and began documenting everything. Within the first week, I noticed something interesting. Group A, the ground-level water birds, were drinking more, noticeably more. I measured this by tracking how much water I had to refill each time. Group A was consuming about 30% more water than Group B. At first, I thought maybe the ground-level bowls were evaporating fast, but I controlled for that. I put identical water bowls in an empty section of the loft at both heights. The evaporation rate was the same. The difference was real. Birds with ground-level water were drinking 30% more. This was fascinating. Same birds, same weather, same activity level, but give them water at natural drinking height, and they drink significantly more. Why? I thought about it and realized the answer is simple. Drinking from ground level is easier and more comfortable. When drinking is easy, birds drink more. When drinking requires effort, stretching up to elevated bowls, birds drink less. They drink enough to survive, but not optimal amounts. This makes sense from an energy conservation standpoint. In the wild, if water is hard to access, birds conserve energy by drinking less. In our lofts, we want birds to drink optimal amounts, so we should make water as easy to access as possible. The increased water consumption led to my next observation. Group A birds' droppings changed. They became slightly more formed and less greenish. This indicated better hydration and better digestion. When birds are optimally hydrated, their digestive system works more efficiently. Food is processed better. Nutrients are absorbed better. Waste is formed properly. Group B birds' droppings remained the same as always. Not bad, but not optimal. Slightly loose, slightly green tinted. I'd always thought this was normal, but now I was seeing that with better hydration from easier water access, droppings improved. This suggested my birds had been chronically slightly underhydrated for years. Not severely dehydrated, but not optimal. They were drinking enough to survive, but not enough for peak function. The elevated water bowls were creating just enough difficulty that birds were under-drinking by about 30%. Over time, this chronic slight dehydration was affecting their health and performance. Next, I noticed energy differences. Group A birds seemed more active. They flew longer during loft flying sessions. They were more vocal, more active in the loft. Group B birds were normal, but Group A was noticeably more energetic. Again, this makes sense. Proper hydration affects everything: muscle function, Metabolism. Energy levels. Birds that are well hydrated simply function better. They have more energy. They recover faster from exercise. Their bodies work more efficiently. I started weighing both groups weekly. Group A maintained slightly higher body weight than Group B. Not fat, just better hydrated body weight. Water weight is healthy weight. It's not excess fat. It's proper cellular hydration. Group A birds weighed on average 12 to 15 grams more than Group B birds. This was just optimal hydration showing up on the scale. After 4 weeks of the experiment, I started testing training performance. I wanted to see if the improved hydration and energy translated to actual flying performance. I took both groups to the same release point for training tosses. 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers, 15 kilometers. I released them together and recorded return times for each bird individually. The results were clear. Group A birds, the ground-level water birds, returned faster. On average, they were about 6 to 8% faster than Group B birds. Over a 20-kilometer toss, that translated to about 3 to 4 minutes faster return time. This wasn't a huge difference, but it was consistent. Every training toss, Group A was faster. Not by massive margins, but by measurable amounts. 6 to 8% faster consistently. I continued training both groups the same way. Progressive distances. Same training schedule. The only difference remained water bowl height, and Group A continued to outperform Group B in every training session. Then came race season. This is where the real test would happen. Training tosses are one thing. Race performance is what matters. I entered birds from both groups in races. I tracked their results carefully. The first race was 150 kilometers. I entered 4 birds from Group A and 4 birds from Group B. Group A birds placed 8th, 12th, 19th and 23rd out of 130 birds total. Group B birds placed 37th, 49th, 62nd, and 78th. Group A dominated Group. The best Group B bird placed 37th, while the worst Group A bird placed 23rd. 14 position difference. And the best Group A bird placed 8th, while the best Group B bird placed 37th. 29 position difference. This was dramatic. Same genetics. Same training, same management. Only difference was water bowl height, and Group A was crushing Group B in race results. Second race, 200 kilometers. Similar results. Group A birds placed 4th, 9th, 26th, and 31st. Group B birds placed 42nd, 58th, 71st, and 89th. Again, huge gap. Best Group A bird was 4th place. Best Group B bird was 42nd. 38 position difference. I continued racing both groups all season. The pattern held. Group A consistently outperformed Group B. On average, Group A birds placed about 30 positions higher than Group B birds. In time, Group A was averaging about 15 to 20 minutes faster than Group B over typical 300-kilometer race. 15 to 20 minutes from water bowl height alone. This was the breakthrough I'd been looking for. I'd spent 7 years trying to improve my results. Better genetics, better feeding, better training. And the whole time the problem was my water bowls were in the wrong place. Such a simple thing. Such a massive impact. At the end of the season, I switched Group B to ground level water as well. I wanted all my birds to have the advantage. Within 2 weeks, Group B birds showed the same improvements. Increased water consumption, better droppings, more energy. I continued racing the following season with all birds on ground level water. My results improved dramatically. I went from placing in prizes 30 to 40% of races to 60 to 70%. I went from occasional top 10 placements to regular top 5 placements. I won 3 races that season. 3 wins. In my previous 7 years of racing, I'd won 0 races. 0. Now with one simple change. Ground level water. I won 3 races in 1 season. The difference was night and day. People started asking me what changed. What's your secret? Did you buy new birds? New feeding program? I told them I moved my water bowls to the floor. They looked at me like I was joking. Water bowl height can't make that much difference. But it does. It absolutely does. Let me explain the science behind why this works so you understand it's not just my experience. This is based on physiology and behavior. First, drinking posture affects how much birds drink. When birds have to stretch or crane their neck to reach water, Drinking becomes effortful. They still drink, but they minimize effort by drinking less than they optimally should. When water is at natural drinking height, ground level drinking is effortless. Birds drink optimal amounts. The difference can be 30 to 40% more water consumption. Second, hydration affects every bodily function. Properly hydrated birds have better blood circulation, better oxygen delivery to muscles, better waste removal from muscles, better temperature regulation, better organ function, better metabolism. Hydration is foundational to health and performance. Even slight chronic underhydration impairs all these functions. Third, muscle function is particularly sensitive to hydration. Dehydrated muscles tire faster, contract less forcefully, recover slower. This directly impacts flight performance. A bird that's chronically 5% dehydrated might race 10 to 15% slower than optimal. The muscle simply doesn't function as well without proper hydration. Fourth, temperature regulation requires proper hydration. Birds cool themselves primarily through respiration. They breathe rapidly, evaporating water from their respiratory system. This evaporative cooling is essential during racing. A bird racing 300 kilometers generates enormous heat. That heat must be dissipated, or the bird overheats. Overheating forces the bird to slow down or stop. Proper hydration ensures the bird can maintain evaporative cooling throughout the race. Underhydrated birds overheat faster and must slow down sooner. Fifth, recovery after exertion requires hydration. After a race, birds' muscles are full of metabolic waste products. These must be flushed out through blood circulation. Proper hydration ensures good blood flow for waste removal. Underhydrated birds have sluggish circulations. Waste products linger in muscles. Recovery takes longer. This means if you race birds widely, underhydrated birds never fully recover between races. They accumulate fatigue. Performance declines progressively through the season. Properly hydrated birds recover fully between races and maintain performance all season. The research supports all of this. Studies on athletic performance in humans and animals consistently show that even mild dehydration impairs performance. 2% dehydration can reduce athletic performance by 10 to 15%. 5% dehydration can reduce performance by 30% or more. My birds were probably chronically 2 to 3% underhydrated from elevated water bowls, making drinking effortful. That 2 to 3% dehydration was costing me 10 to 15% performance. 18 minutes slower over 300 kilometers. That's exactly what the research would predict. The amazing thing is how simple the fix was. I didn't need supplements. I didn't need fancy equipment. I just needed to put the water bowls on the floor where birds could drink comfortably. Zero cost, 15 minutes to rearrange, and boom, 10 to 15% performance improvement. Best return on investment of anything I've ever done in pigeon racing. Now let me address the objections, because I know what you're thinking. What about contamination? Won't ground level water get dirty from birds walking through it or droppings falling in? Yes, it will get dirtier faster than elevated water. That's true, but so you should be changing water twice per day anyway. Fresh water morning and evening is standard good practice. If you're changing water twice daily, contamination isn't an issue. The water is only sitting for 12 hours max. In 12 hours, it doesn't get that dirty. And even if a bird steps in it or a dropping falls in, you're replacing it soon anyway. The slight increase in contamination is massively outweighed by the increased water consumption and improved hydration. It's not even close. Your bird's drinking 30% more water and racing 15 minutes faster is worth changing dirty water twice a day. Don't let fear of contamination keep you from making this change. Second objection, what if my loft floor is dirty? Won't the water bowls sit in dirty areas? Clean your loft floor. This is basic management. If your floor is too dirty for water bowls, it's too dirty for your birds, period. Clean loft floors are essential for bird health regardless of where your water bowls are. If you're changing water twice daily and cleaning floors regularly, ground level water bowls are fine. I use shallow pans about 3 to 4 inches deep, large enough that birds can easily drink but shallow enough that they're not bathing in them. Pigeons don't typically bathe in their drinking water if the container is shallow. They want deeper water for bathing. Shallow drinking pans stay reasonably clean between changes. Third objection, what about freezing in winter? Won't ground level water freeze faster than elevated water? Possibly, depending on your climate and loft heating. If you're in very cold climate where freezing is an issue, You probably need heated water bowls anyway, regardless of height. Heated bowls can be placed at ground level just as easily as elevated. The heating element keeps water liquid. Alternatively, if you're in moderate climate where freezing is occasional, not constant, you can still use ground-level water most of the time and only elevate temporarily during freeze events. The point is, don't let occasional cold weather prevent you from giving your birds optimal water access 90% of the time. Fourth objection: I've always done elevated water and my birds are fine. Why change? Your birds might seem fine, but are they optimal? Fine and optimal are different. My birds were fine for 7 years with elevated water. They didn't die. They raced. They seemed healthy, but they weren't optimal. When I switched to ground-level water, they became optimal. And optimal beats fine in races. You're not competing against your own past performance. You're competing against other fanciers. If your birds are fine but your competitor's birds are optimal, you lose. Why handicap yourself? The change costs nothing and takes minutes. Test it. Run your own experiment. Split your birds. Half ground-level water, half elevated. Track the results. See for yourself. I guarantee you'll see the same improvements I saw. More water consumption, better droppings, more energy, faster training times, better race results. Once you see the data, you'll wonder why you ever elevated your water bowls in the first place. Let me tell you about other fanciers who've made this change after I told them about it. My friend Mark was skeptical when I first explained this to him. He said water bowl height can't possibly matter that much. I told him try it for 1 month. Just 1 month. Split your birds and test it. He agreed. 4 weeks later he called me. He said, "You were right. I can't believe it, but you were right. My birds are drinking way more water. Their droppings are better. They seem more energetic. And my training times improved by about 5%. He's now a complete convert. All his water bowls are on the floor. He tells other fanciers about it. Another fancier, Lisa, made the change and saw her race results improve from middle of the pack to top 20 consistently. She says ground-level water was the single most impactful change she's made in 20 years of racing. She wishes she'd known about it decades ago. How many races did she lose because her water bowls were elevated? We'll never know. But from now on, her birds have optimal hydration, and she's winning. I've talked to veterinarians about this. Avian vets who specialize in bird health. They all confirm that hydration is critical, and that making water easily accessible encourages optimal consumption. One vet told me she sees chronic slight dehydration in many racing pigeons. Owners don't realize it because the birds aren't severely dehydrated. They're just not optimally hydrated. The birds function but not at peak. She recommends ground-level water for this exact reason. Easier access encourages more drinking. More drinking means better hydration. Better hydration means healthier birds. It's simple, but it works. Another vet told me about wild pigeon behavior. Wild pigeons always drink from ground-level sources. They've evolved to drink this way. Forcing them to drink from elevated sources in captivity is unnatural. It works because pigeons are adaptable, but it's not optimal. We should mimic natural conditions as much as possible in our loft. Ground-level water mimics how pigeons naturally drink. This keeps them healthier and more comfortable. I've also learned about water bowl design. Not all ground-level water setups are equal. The best design is shallow, wide pan. I use pans about 3 inches deep and 12 to 18 inches in diameter. Wide diameter means multiple birds can drink at once without crowding. Shallow depth means birds can easily reach the water, but it's not deep enough for bathing. Pigeons standing on the floor can comfortably lower their head and drink without any stretching. The pan should be heavy or weighted so birds can't tip it over. I use heavy ceramic pans or plastic pans with a brick in them for weight. Change the water twice daily minimum, more often if it gets dirty. In summer when birds drink more, I sometimes change it 3 times daily. The pans sit directly on clean loft floor. No elevation at all. Some fanciers slightly recess the pans into the floor so they're flat. This prevents birds from stepping on the rim and potentially tipping them. Either way works. The key is ground-level access. How many water stations do you need? Depends on your loft size and bird count. I have 20 birds and I use 2 water pans in different areas of the loft. This prevents overcrowding at water stations and ensures even subordinate birds can access water without being bullied away by dominant birds. If you have 40 birds, maybe use 4 water pans. The rule of thumb is enough stations that all birds can drink comfortably without conflict. Watch your birds during peak drinking times. usually after eating and after flying. If you see crowding or conflict at water pans, add another station. Should you completely eliminate elevated water or have both options? I eliminated elevated water completely. All my water is now at ground level. I want my birds to drink optimal amounts, so I make it as easy as possible. Ground level only. No elevated backup. If you're nervous about making full switch immediately, you could temporarily offer both elevated bowls plus ground level pans. Then watch which your birds prefer. I guarantee they'll prefer ground level. They'll drink more from the floor pans. Once you see that preference, remove the elevated bowls. Go all in on ground level. Your birds will thank you with better performance. What about racing day? How does better hydration help during actual races? In multiple ways. First, birds start the race optimally hydrated. They've been drinking plenty all week from easy access water. They go into the basket with full hydration. This means their blood volume is optimal. Their muscles are properly hydrated. They're ready to perform. Second, during the race, proper hydration maintains performance. The bird can regulate temperature better through evaporative cooling. Muscles function better. Fatigue is delayed. The bird can maintain higher speed for longer. Third, even though birds can't drink during the race, good baseline hydration means they have reserves. A well-hydrated bird can handle 5 to 6 hours of flight before dehydration becomes limiting. A chronically underhydrated bird might hit limits at 3 to 4 hours. This difference matters on longer races. Fourth, after the race, well-hydrated birds recover faster. When the bird lands and starts drinking, proper hydration means the body can immediately begin flushing metabolic waste and repairing muscle tissue. Recovery starts faster and completes sooner. I've tested this specifically. I've tracked recovery times for birds before and after switching to ground-level water. Before, my birds would take 3 to 4 days to fully recover from a 300-kilometer race. Their droppings would be off for 2 days. Energy levels would be low for 3 days. By day 4, they'd be back to normal. After switching to ground-level water, recovery shortened to 2 days. Droppings normalized by the next day. Energy bounced back in 2 days. A full day faster recovery. This means I can race more frequently if needed. It means birds maintain condition better through the season. Less cumulative fatigue. Better end-of-season performance. All from proper hydration, starting with easy access water. The compound benefits are enormous. Better hydration leads to better performance, which leads to better recovery, which leads to sustained performance all season. It's positive feedback loop, and it all starts with putting your water bowls on the floor. Let me walk you through exactly how to implement this in your loft. It's so simple you'll laugh. First, go buy shallow pans if you don't already have them. Hardware stores sell concrete mixing pans that work great. 12 to 18-inch diameter, 3 to 4 inches deep, heavy-duty plastic or rubber, cost about $5 to $10 each. Buy as many as you need for your bird count. 1 pan per 10 to 15 birds is a good ratio. Second, clean a section of your loft floor where the pans will sit. Sweep it clean. Wash if needed. You want clean floor. Third, fill the pans with fresh water. Place them on the clean floor section. That's it. You're done. Physical setup takes literally 5 minutes. Now comes the behavior change. Show your birds the new water source. Let them out in the loft. They'll discover the floor pans quickly. They might be cautious at first because it's new. Give them a few hours. Curiosity will bring them to investigate. Once one bird drinks, others will follow. By end of first day, all your birds will know about the floor pans. Some birds will continue using elevated bowls if you leave them up. Remove the elevated bowls. Force the switch. Make ground level the only option. Within 24 hours, all birds will adapt. They'll drink from floor pans normally. No stress, no problems, just new routine. Now your job is maintaining the water. Change it twice daily minimum, morning and evening. Takes 2 minutes each time. Dump the old water. Rinse the pan. Refill with fresh water. Done. If you see it getting dirty during the day, change it then too. Better to change water 3 or 4 times per day than to let birds drink dirty water. Fresh, clean water always. This is the key. Ground level placement plus fresh water twice daily equals optimal hydration. Start tracking your birds' water consumption. You'll notice they drink more. Track their droppings. You'll notice improvement. Track their energy. You'll notice they're more active. These changes happen within the first week. They're obvious once you start paying attention. After 2 weeks, start tracking training performance. Do standardized training tosses. 20 kilometers, 30 kilometers. Compare times to your previous baselines. You should see improvement 5 to 10% faster on average. This improvement is real and repeatable. After 1 month, compare race results. If you're in racing season, or wait until season starts. If you're making this change in off-season, when races begin, compare your placements in times to previous season. You should see significant improvement, better placements, faster times, more consistent results. These improvements come from better hydration, affecting all aspects of bird physiology. This isn't magic. This isn't placebo. This is basic biology. Proper hydration improves function. Improved function means better performance. Better performance means winning races. It's that simple. And it all started with moving your water bowls to the floor. Zero cost, massive benefit. This is the kind of improvement every fancier dreams of. Usually improvement requires expensive changes, new genetics, new loft, new equipment. This improvement is free. It just requires breaking tradition and doing what's actually optimal rather than what everyone else does. I want to emphasize how important it is to test this yourself. Don't just take my word for it. Run your own experiment. Science is about testing and data. I've told you my results. I've explained the science. Now you need your own data. Split your birds. Half ground level water, half elevated. Track everything for 1 month. Water consumption, droppings, energy, training times. See the difference yourself. Once you see it with your own birds, you'll be convinced. You'll make the permanent switch, and you'll tell other fanciers about it, just like I'm telling you. This information needs to spread. How many fanciers are losing races right now because their water bowls are elevated? Thousands probably. This is common practice. That's actually suboptimal. We need to change the common practice. Make ground level water the new standard. Everyone's birds will be healthier and perform better. Rising tide lifts all boats. If everyone's birds are optimally hydrated, racing becomes more competitive. The best genetics in training win rather than basic management mistakes. Determining outcomes. I'll tell you one more story to drive this home. Last season, there was a major race in my club, 500 kilometers. Very difficult race. Strong headwind. Only 40% of birds returned the same day. Many birds arrived the next day or were lost. My bird won that race. First place. Beat 230 birds. When I talked to other fanciers afterward, many were asking what I did different. How did my bird win in such difficult conditions? I told them about ground level water and proper hydration. Some believed me. Some thought I was being secretive and not sharing my real secrets. But ground level water was the secret. My bird was optimally hydrated. Better temperature regulation, better muscle function, better endurance in difficult conditions. Optimal hydration makes huge difference. Other birds were hitting hydration limits after 3 or 4 hours of hard flying. My bird stayed hydrated and strong longer. He pushed through and won. That's not superior genetics. My bird's pedigree is decent, but not exceptional. That's not superior training. I train the same as everyone else. That was superior hydration from optimal water access. Ground level water won me that race, and it can win races for you too. One last thing I want to mention is the compound benefits over time. Everything I've described, better hydration, better droppings, better energy, better performance. These don't just help in the short term, they accumulate over time. Birds that are chronically well hydrated are healthier, long term, fewer health problems, better organ function, longer racing careers, better breeding performance. Ground level water isn't just about winning more races this season. It's about having healthier birds for years. It's about birds reaching their genetic potential rather than being handicapped by chronic slight dehydration. It's about giving your birds every advantage. You've invested money in genetics, time in training, effort in management. Don't let something as simple as water bowl height undermine all that investment. Put your water on the floor. Let your birds drink comfortably. Watch them thrive. Watch them win. This is the easiest, highest impact change you can make in your loft. So here's what I want you to do today. Right now, after watching this video, go to your loft. Look at your water bowls. Are they elevated? If yes, move them to the floor. If you don't have appropriate floor pans, order them today. $5 to $10 each. Get them within a few days. Set them up immediately. Start tracking your bird's water consumption and behavior. Give it 2 weeks. Then start tracking training performance. Give it 1 month. Then compare to your previous baselines. I promise you'll see improvement. And when you do, comment on this video. Tell me your results. Tell other fanciers. Spread the word. Ground level water is optimal. Elevated water is suboptimal. We've been doing it wrong. Let's fix it together. Your birds deserve optimal hydration. They work hard for you, racing hundreds of kilometers. They trust you to take care of them. Give them the basic foundation of health, which is proper hydration. Through easy access water, they'll reward you with better performance, and you'll reward yourself with more wins. Simple change, massive impact. Move your water bowls to the floor today. Thank you for watching. Go make this change. Your birds are waiting.